The Rio Grande Valley is a unique portion of land that is home to over 1 million inhabitants who carry rich traditions and a distinct history. We owe immense gratitude to our early fathers who started a mission of faith that has carried us through the present day. The inspiration for this year's Bishop's Annual Appeal for the Diocese of Brownsville will be based on a reflection of the history of our faith. In a moment, Bishop Daniel Flores, our chief shepherd, will invite us all to participate in this year's annual appeal. Today's message will include a call to all in the diocese to give not of what we have left over, rather of what we have been blessed with, and to remember that history teaches everything, even the future.
I'm very happy to speak to you today from the beautiful and historic Immaculate Conception Cathedral here in the city of Brownsville. As early as 1847, the first Oblate Fathers came into the Rio Grande Valley to begin the work of establishing and building up the church that already existed here. And their work, together with the work of many religious brothers and sisters, began in earnest in those middle years of the 1800s. This cathedral was established shortly thereafter and became a cathedral in 1874. And really, following from those times up to our own times, the history of the Rio Grande Valley has followed the course of the horseback cavalry of Christ that moved all the way through La Lomita and up to Rio Grande City and Roma. I speak to you about the Bishop's Annual Appeal from this historic spot to remind us all of the great tradition of generosity and of service that is really the lifeblood of the church in the Rio Grande Valley, and to ask us all to reflect on how we can build up for the future the life of the church here in our diocese, in our parishes, and in our communities.
As Bishop Flores noted, the horseback cavalry of Christ, along with many other religious brothers and sisters, were instrumental in establishing the faith we live and profess today. We will now hear from Father Roy, an oblate himself, into his predecessors who once rode on horseback, nourishing our faith in the Rio Grande Valley.
The first oblates arrived in the valley in 1849, landed at Port Isabel. Brownsville became a center. That's where Father Carolyn built the beautiful cathedral that we still have. And they started riding the trails all the way up to Roma and beyond. But Roma and Brownsville became centers. They established parishes there. And La Lomita became a way station. This was a big ranching community. This was the chapel. Father Carolyn and La Lomita are both symbols to us and reminders of our call to be genuine and authentic, sincere and humble. Fathers and mothers of families, and most parish priests can tell you many, many times when we thought, well, the little bit that we've got is not going to be enough to face the challenges that we've got to face, and then we just take the little bit, and good things have happened, and we know we can hope for, wait for, expect good things in the mystery of our future.
Today, we need to remember the past in which our faith is grounded, and in order to continue with the work in our diocese, we must ask ourselves, what return shall I make to the Lord for all the good He has done for me? Let's take a moment to reflect on the scripture passage of the widow's mite. In the Gospel of Luke, it reads, "As Jesus looked up, He saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in her 2 mites. Truly I tell you, He said, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on."
I want to take this moment to thank everyone who participated last year generously by giving of your time and your treasure and your talent to make possible the great works that have been done during the course of the last year in helping build up our diocese. I'm particularly grateful because your generosity has made possible an increase of services, especially in the building up of our youth and service of the poor. And these are things which we must continue to do. The second annual appeal continues that same important mission that we have, which is to find a way to participate in the work of the church. And the most important thing is that everyone have a way to contribute so that we can take part in, to be co-responsible in building up the church into the future. We have particularly challenges to face when it comes to the formation of our young people, making sure that they receive the light of the gospel and are well-formed to receive the sacraments, especially baptism, confirmation, and First Communion. And also to serve the poor and to do everything we can to address the really human and very serious needs which poverty places before our community. But also to form a future clergy, for we have to prepare priests to continue the work of celebrating the sacraments, and of course to continue all that we can do to form and evangelize and teach the faith here in this beautiful place which God has given us, the Rio Grande Valley. So I invite everyone to take a moment to think about how we can participate, take part in some small way or some big way, whatever way is possible for us, but to participate, to play a part in preparing for the future as we have to continue always to face and to anticipate the kinds of needs which we will need to address in the coming days, in the coming years, as the population continues to grow and as we seek to serve in that tradition which we have received from those who have gone before us, that tradition of service and generosity. I want to thank you for your generosity in the past and ask you humbly if you could consider contributing in this second annual appeal for the work of the Church as we prepare for the future in this diocese which is so dynamic and so quickly growing in its population. We all have an opportunity and a challenge from the Lord to continue the work of the Church throughout all of the areas of the Rio Grande Valley.
As we reflect on our bishop's message, keep in mind that history teaches everything, even the future. Your contributions last year helped touch the lives of countless numbers of people and strengthened the church across the Diocese of Brownsville. In thinking of the contribution you're about to make, pray about it. Listen to what God is calling you to do. Then participate in whatever way you can. Keep our history in mind and ask yourselves, what will I share that will help us continue on this mission of faith? Whatever amount I am about to give, I must do it with a generous heart.